Okay, everybody. Well, I am Lisa Parrish, and I am coming to you with tips, tricks, tools, and resources for your MAME entries. And as we said, we really want to make sure that you know where to find all of the goods, and that is at denvermameawards.com. This is where you're going to find how to enter, how to register, downloading the entry forms, how to buy your tickets, how to get your sponsorships, and all the details are there. So make sure that that is accessible for you. The other thing I wanted to share with you is just some ideas and some information on how to make your entry shine. And really the first thing you need to think about when you're approaching this process is your attitude. Okay, this has got to be fun. If it's not fun, then you're not going to have the right space and the right mindset. You know, a competitive attitude towards a process will make all the difference. Make it fun, enjoy the process, and it will shine through to the judges. This, in essence, is a sales and marketing of your person, your place, or your space. Okay, so think of it that way. You really want to look at this strategically, whether you're submitting yourself for professional achievement or your company or on your client's behalf. Review the categories, requirements for the opportunities and recognition. And in most cases, you can submit the same entry in multiple categories, allowing for not only expanded recognition, but also providing the judges further opportunities to get to know you as an entrant into our company. And in the case of most awards programs, you will be able to submit multiple entries to be eligible for Community of the Year. Again, building your case towards the jury, getting them to know you further and deeper before they get to that final entry. So here's how we're going to get started. We really like to say the first thing you need to do is think about it. Review the categories, make a list of what you want to submit, create a budget for your entry fees, your sponsorship, and your tickets to the show, and then start to gather materials, images, plans, and details. Okay, so you're going to think about it. Hey, listen, I'm going to submit Lisa for sales professional. I'm going to go for logo design. I'm going to be submitting my, my sales office. I have interiors. I'm going to do plans 1 and 2. And for architecture, I'm going to do plan 2 and 3. And for landscape, I have so-and-so and so forth. You want to get that list together, and then you want to figure out what you have for photography, floor plans, and other materials that you're going to need in order to put your entry together. But let's talk a little bit about how to make your entry shine. Okay, again, review those categories and requirements. Remember to label your materials correctly, which we'll talk about later. We're going to talk about how the entries are reviewed by the judges. We're going to talk about telling your story to the judges, getting your knowledge, your information across to them. We're going to format those entries, and then we're going to talk about how to making sure that you proofread and getting your information noticed. All right, the entry process, the ever elusive entry process. It's really not as hard as you think. It's actually pretty darn easy. So let's take a look at our website with all of our details. First off, how to enter. This is going to load up, and this is going to give us, hey, by the way, did you guys know the theme of this year's MAME Awards? It's one night, one night, one industry, and it's a black and white gala. So that means you're invited to wear black or white to the event. So make your choices now. So let's talk about important dates. All right, first off, we have an early registration date, all right, which is up until August 15th. Entry fees are $175 per entry. After that date, the price jumps to $275. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't still enter. It just means that if you want to commit early, get those entry fees, pay that entry fee in, you will have that price break. But your materials are not due until September 22nd at 11:59 Pacific time. Okay, everybody write that down. September 22nd, 11:59 Pacific time. If it comes in at 12:01, yeah, I'm going to be really sad, and so are you, because you were up really late. Let's not do that. All right, and there are no extensions this year, because what we're doing is we're going to be running right into that judging time, and we really want to make sure your entries get in, and we have all the details that we need to show those entries to the judges. Now, remember, ticket sales open September 11th. The deadline for early ticket sales is October 2nd, again, price break. And then we will be having our judging October 4th through 6th. If you're submitting for a professional achievement category, you will have interviews held at the HBA offices on October 6th. Now, this is very important. You really want to consider when you're submitting that person for professional achievement, you really want to kind of have a conversation with them. Where will you be on October 6th? Are you going to be available or not be available? If they say they're not going to be available, that's not a problem, because if they're not available to come into the HBA to have that 10-minute conversation with the judges, they can record it. And I'm going to talk to you more about that later, but there's an opportunity there. But you definitely want to give them the opportunity to let you know if they are going to be there on October 6th. All right, now let's talk about steps to enter. This is a two-step entry process, all right? What we do is we fill out our entry application, we pay our fees, we'll get our entry materials back with our entry serial numbers, and then we'll start to put our materials together. So before we dive into that, let's take a look at our categories this year. All right, on our 4th and 5th page, what you'll see is you will have our categories. We have our professional achievement, we have our leadership recognition. Please note on some of these categories, they're nominated only. That's our sales manager, marketing professional, young leaders, and associate partners. And what we mean by that is that you cannot submit yourself. Someone needs to submit that candidate on their behalf. All right. Other categories, you can actually self-submit. So we just want to make sure that there's a little difference in those categories. We get down into our remodeler of the year, custom builder of the year, and then we go into our sales and marketing for logos, brochures, advertising, and so forth. And then we get into the design of our new homes. The design of the new homes are based on the sales price of the plan. And we differentiate that between detached and attached housing. All right. Moving on to our, sorry, I turned the page too fast. Moving on to our architecture. We have that is separated by square footage. The square footage is anything air conditioned and does include, if you do have a finished basement, it should be included in the square footage. All right, going back to the interior merchandising, that is the sales price of the home with structural upgrades without any interior merchandising upgrades. All right, and there is a definition within the call for entries.
Lisa, does that include lot premiums?
No, it does not. It's actually the model as it sits. So however the model is sitting, let's say you've included a custom kitchen or the spa-like bath, and you have a finished basement, but it does not include the lot premium, and it does not include anything other than structural. So if you've done any interior upgrades or finishes, that's not included. Okay. Regarding attached home, detached home, any of the homes of the year, those do have some qualifying categories where you must submit within interior and design categories in order to submit into that category. So in order to be in home of the year, you have to submit in interiors and in architecture, and then the home of the year. So it's 3 entries in order to be eligible for that category. All right. For community of the year, we're going to get to that where those qualifiers are, but I wanted to touch base on home of the year because we do have some people who don't realize that they have those qualifying categories, and I want to make sure that that's mentioned. Then we have our renovation, remodel, and custom home categories, the fun, the before and afters, and the jewelry of MAME. Here we have our categories based on bathrooms. We have historic remodels, specialty rooms, custom home, and kitchen design. Now notice we do have our bathroom remodels and basement remodels based on the price of the contract for the materials or the work done. Okay, you do not need to submit the actual contract, but we do like to make sure that we keep them within their specific spaces. So if it's something that's very grand versus something that was much more boutique, we want to make sure that they have their opportunity to shine. So let's take a look at our at what is required for these categories. For instance, in professional achievement categories, rookie, sales team, or online, this is where I was talking about the fact that they're going to have their interview. And within that interview, what will happen is the judges will be provided with the nomination package that you're going to write on their behalf, which is a 200-word statement that talks about what that person did for the year, how they were so successful, and what makes them worthy of recognition on the award. That's from your point of view or their point of view. Then what will happen is they'll go in and have a 10-minute interview with the judges, and they're going to be asked 3 questions. Share with us your biggest success, your biggest challenge, and what are you most proud of? Every candidate is asked those same 3 questions to keep it an even playing field. They all have 10 minutes, up to 10 minutes, and they can do this by one of 3 ways. They can come into the HBA and meet with the team in person. They can send in a video if they're not available, or we can do a Zoom. I would rather that we didn't do Zooms. It is a little wonky and it takes a lot of effort and energy. And I will tell you, the best interest of the candidate is to be there in person. There is nothing like having body language and a smile and just feeling the energy. But again, that is all available up to what is, the candidate's availability. So we talk about their definitions, what they are, and how they work. Here's the other thing I will tell you regarding the professional achievement categories. Please, please, please ask that candidate for a lovely headshot, something that is 1,800 pixels wide. If we get a tiny little picture that came off their LinkedIn, it's going to look terrible for them on screen, in the winner's book, and on the displays. So honor that person by allowing them to have a great headshot, okay? Now moving over to our leadership recognition. We have our sales managers, our marketing professionals, our community superintendents who are awesome, our purchasing professionals, and so forth. Again, they will have a personal interview only for categories 6 through 10. Young leaders, associates, remodelers, and custom builders do not have interviews. Those will only be done by the entry statements, all right? Moving on to our logo design and our categories for sales and marketing. I just wanted to touch base on this because then we're going to go into something else. Here's what we have for every one of these entries. In most cases, for almost all entries, what you're going to have is the team information form and 6 to 8 images that showcase the entry. 6 to 8 being that you have the opportunity to go up to 8 images to show your materials. Now, you will not be disqualified if you have less than 8 images. Matter of fact, I will tell you straight up, in most cases, be selective. Choose the pictures that showcase the best, because you really want to, again, this is a marketing competition. You really want to showcase what works best and what shines. In that team project form, the first page of that form is your details of who should be credited, the builder, the associate being either the ad agency, the interior merchandiser, the architect, the landscape, the signage company, and so forth. The second page of that form is the details on the entry, and that is the location, the sales price, the square footage, the target market, and the 200-word narrative. And we're going to talk about that more. But I really want to talk to you. Those are the pieces and parts of an entry for the MAME Awards and almost every single category. I'm going to hop forward and I'm just going to mention on our Community of the Year Awards, these are the qualifying categories. Okay, you have to have 5 qualifying categories to go for Community of the Year, and you can choose whatever they are from categories 1 through 43. So if you have an awesome sales team, if you have an amazing community superintendent, if you have an awesome logo, and a great brochure and a sales office, those could be your 5. It's up to you on what makes that Community of the Year. Now, note, we will be judging that community based on its design and sensitivity to its environment, its design appeal, its use of space, materials, amenities, its architectural continuity, its landscape signage, and overall sales success. But you get to choose between those categories 1 through 43 on what makes your community stand out. Any questions so far? Okay. All right. And we're going to jump back here, pull this down, and we're going to go through the entry process. Now, the entry application, let's just talk about that real quick. Now, let's go back. Let's say you're going to put your entry in. I'm going to click on my application. It's going to pop up. Here, I'm going to do a sample entry just so that we can do it together so that I demystify it. First thing you're going to do is you're going to select your entry fee amount. You're going to pull down from the drop-down menu what you're going to be submitting for. Oh, we have two categories, so I will update that. I'm going to go for best logo design. And this is going to be in my project name. This is the name of the project or community or plan, okay? So what we want to put in there is the marketing name of this entry. So this is going to be the Team PMP logo. The builder name, these are all the fields here are required. So even if I don't have a builder name, I'm going to put in NA because I don't have a builder. I'm an associate. My ad agency's name is Kovac Marketing. And I'm going to credit them for the work that they did. And I'm going to put in the location of my company. All right. Now I've decided I want to submit another entry. I can add another project. So I'm going to pull that down and I'm going to submit my sales professional of the year. My project name is my candidate's name, and that's going to be Lisa Parrish. She works for ABC Builders. There is no associated name because we're submitting her. So we're going to put NA there, and her location is Denver, Colorado. Okay. Now I have two entries at $350, and I'm just going to fill in the company information. This is very important. The company information here is who's submitting this entry. This is going to be myself, and this will auto propagate if I want it to. So I'm going to fill that in. The email here, this is the email where the confirmation email is going to come back. So please do not put in your boss's email. Don't put in somebody who's not going to forward you the confirmation email. That is going to cause you a lot of struggle, and you're going to call me and you're going to go, where did my email go? And I'm going to say, it went to Shane. Shane's going to need to forward it to you, but I will forward it to you on your behalf. So put in your email. In the billing information at the bottom, fill that in, and then you're going to choose between credit card or check. I'm going to do a credit card. When I click credit card, I hit submit. What's going to pop up is the information here from Stripe to put in my details. Okay, I'm going to put that in, and once it goes through, it's going to process, and you're going to receive a receipt. I'm not going to do that today. I've chosen to pay by check, which means that I need to send a check to the HBA no later than when? September 22nd. Money needs to be received by September 22nd to the HBA. If it's not there and I have to call you and say, I haven't received your money yet, that's going to be no bueno. All right. We really want to make sure that money has been received by the HBA. Otherwise, I have to chase you, and I don't want to do that. All right. Now, that doesn't mean your entries will be not submitted or not received. It just means that you're going to get a call. You're going to be on my naughty list, and you don't want to be on my naughty list. All right, here's another note. There are no refunds for entries. Okay, no refunds. However, let's say you decided, I thought I wanted to submit Lisa, but you know what? I've decided I'm going to submit Shane instead. You can transfer an entry. You can replace an entry. You can update an entry. That is absolutely acceptable and is easily done. All right, I filled out my entries. I know that I'm going to send my check in by September 22nd. I'm going to hit submit. Awesome. I have success. Within a few seconds, I'm going to receive an email with my entry numbers, and I'm going to have all the information. Right here is a download button. If I click that, what I'm going to get to is I am going to receive the Dropbox with all the forms that I might need for the MAME Awards. I've decided I'm just going to download them all because that way I will have them and I can save those and move on. Now in my email, I have received my entry confirmation from the MAME Awards. And I know that my logo design entry is entry number 151001. And my entry for my sales professional is entry number 021002. Those are my entry serial numbers. Again, I have my forms that I can download here if I forgot, and I know where to return my materials via file sharing services to entries at Team PMP. At any time, if you have any questions during this process, this is where you will find my contact information, and I'm available to you at all times. This is really, really important. If you have a question regarding replacing an entry, if you want a sample entry so that you can see how other marketing statements are written, if you're just interested in knowing some other random question, this is where you reach me. All right. Okay. So let's go back down to our entry process. Now we received our entry. We know we're going to move forward, and we have all our materials. We know that by September 22nd, return our entry materials via file sharing service, Dropbox, Hightail, FTP, Google Drive, box, whatever you want to use, it's totally okay. It doesn't matter to us. It's up to you on which one's your favorite. We just need a link to those materials to entries at Team PMP. Now, we know our dates, we know our process. We've seen our entry confirmation email. Let's talk about submitting materials. We want to gather our materials. We want to put them all into a main folder. We are going to number them with our entry materials, and we're going to submit them. Do not submit original materials. Do not share a link to your box with me where I'm going to remove it and you could possibly lose it. You want to send me a link, okay? And we suggest that you send the link, not for us to download, not to share. Okay, organizing your materials. Let's talk about gathering materials and what is the most important. Think about who your judges are. Here's who your judging group is. These are folks just like you, peers from around the country in the industry who are giving up their time to come to Denver to visit. They are not affiliated with any entrant in your market. They are there on their own dime. They are giving up 3 days to visit and spend that time reviewing the materials. They are in most cases an entrant, a winner in their own market. So they've been an entrant, they understand the process, and they are there free of any ties and free spirit to judge with good heart. Now, here's what we want to talk about. We really want to organize our materials so that it's easily digestible for that judge to review. And imagine if you have over 300 entries to review in a short time, you really want it to be easy for them to understand. So imagine when you're organizing your materials as though you're walking the person through the home as if you were together there and explaining it to them in very conversational ways. All right. So in this case, as you can see on these materials, there are 8 images for this home. You have the front exterior, walking through the front door, into the kitchen, through the great room, through the master, and into the spa-like master bath. That is basically just as though you were traversing together. And that is the way we're going to suggest that you write your marketing statement. Write it as though you're walking through it. If you're doing a digital entry, a digital marketing category, here's some ideas. You have the opportunity to share other details on your slides that you may not want to include into your 200-word marketing statement. This is where you can showcase multiple images on a single image. This is where you might want to put in your numbers. This is where you might want to include other details or elements or exhibits that they might find information. Sorry, my brain just went out. They might find helpful. When you're talking about websites, online, anything that talks about strategy, well, the creative is very, very important. It's the results that is 50% of the entry. It might look beautiful, but did it create anything? What was the actionable elements? You did a great job, but how many appointments did you set? How many homes did you sell? And how did that relate to the total results for your total company or division? Share those details. It's very important. Now let's talk about people. Going back to your candidates, interview them, have a conversation with them before you submit. You know, what did they go through? What were some of the challenges that they faced? What were some of the elements that made their year so successful? You really want to have a conversation with them because that's what's going to end up being in that conversation in that 10-minute interview. All right. You want to talk about what was good, what was bad, and how to go forth. As a remodeler, do the same guidelines apply? It feels like this is marketing. I'm going to get to the remodeling. Hold on, I promise. What we're going to talk about in remodeling is the before and after, the story. What was the story? What was it? And what did it become? What challenges did you face? All right. Interiors, product design, again, walk the judges through the home, touch on the highlights, point out the design features. This goes through to the custom home versus the remodelers. Generalize any interior product design categories. We really want to hear what happened, how you did it, and what the rationale behind it was. Okay. If you really had, you know, a strong market or an element where you decided, hey, listen, we're not going to do that dining room. We really decided we were going to make that a home office instead because that was really where the market was going. Talk to us about that, why you use that square footage in that way. Photography. This is for every category. Get the best photography that you can get, okay? It doesn't win the award, but it certainly can help or hurt an award. Be selective with your photography. Again, if you lay out all your images and you say, hey, listen, I have 8 great images, but this one really, I'm not sure that's really the best image of this plan or this home, then pull it out. It's okay to have less than 8. For the remodeling, for any of the before and afters, you have 4 befores and up to 8 afters. And if you want to strategize those, or you have before and after, where you do a before as image 1 and an after as image 2, so you see the transition, that's a really great trick. Some people like to put all their befores at the very top, all the befores, and then use the 8 afters afterwards. Again, you have that flexibility to tell your story, to craft that entry. So put it together. Some people like to do collages where they'll put the before and the after on the same image. Again, it's up to you on how you want to present that. It will make the image smaller, but in some cases it does tell the story. Floor plans for every category where their floor plans are required. Nice, clean plans are very helpful. It's very helpful for the judge to be able to digest it. No names of builders, community names, plan names. We really want nice, clean information. If these come from your brochure, your online, anything like that, that's completely fine. Just remove your badging. You do not need to have furnishing in it. If you do have it, that's great. We do request that we do have the square footage of the plan. That's very helpful. And if you can put first floor, second floor on the same PDF, that is actually very helpful for the judge. If not, if it's a scrollable 2-page PDF, that's okay as well. What we're trying to avoid is this, everyone. This is very difficult. When we get a blueprint floor plan, yes, the judges are absolutely savvy enough to do this, to look at it and to understand it. But what I will tell you is this: it makes it very difficult. Imagine that here you are trying to discern this. Here's the other thing that's wrong with this. Do you see we have names over here? No names. I have to go through and I have to cut those all out, and that's no fun. You do not want me to be messing with your entries. Okay. Now, within that, we want to talk about those marketing statements. As I told you, clear, concise bullet points are always helpful. Pointing out strategies, challenges, constraints, how you address those, and what were the results. Discuss anything that you don't discuss things that are actually in the images. Point out the elements that you can see. But don't mention that little girl's room if you're not going to show us the little girl's room. Absolutely frustrates the judges. Oh, we have an adorable little girl's room, but we don't see it. Okay. Remember, the judges are members of the industry. Speak to them as though they are your peers. We don't need it to be flowery or verbose. We just really need the dirty details. Write those statements to the images, walk them through the houses, note the highlights, and bullet points are a huge hit. And I'm going to show you a sample of that coming up. Here is the #1 mistake that people do. They go, oh, I have so many entries. I'm just going to write one boilerplate statement for every single category. It'll be fine. It'll be generalized, and it'll just tell them that, this is a great project or this is a great community. And they give us the same statement. Okay, so it's the first category and I read it for best logo. Okay, it's a general statement. Now we get to best website and it's the same statement. Oh, this is the same statement we heard before. Now I get to sales office. It's the same statement. The judges literally tell me not to read it. Now they've already been put on edge. They're now no longer a fan. So did you save yourself any time? Did you do yourself any favors? No. Realistically, you may have shot yourself in the foot. So what I like to say is, even if it's 20 words, write that statement to the entry. Yes, absolutely. Write about features that are really cool. But if you don't have enough room for it in your images, here's what you can do on those. For those, collage images work. Okay. For instance, you'll see on my screen right now, this is a collage image. That's completely okay. Use those sparingly. But if you have something that you really want to showcase, I would include it. All right. Again, going back to digital advertising, any of the marketing, write They want to hear strategy, they want to hear results, and they want to know what the stats are. It makes a difference. Community of the year. All right, let's talk about community of the year. Whole overall, you want to talk about total number of units available, what sold, what was the closings, what were the vision of the community, what challenges did you encounter, and most importantly, what is the wow of this community? Why does somebody want to live there? Why did you make this a compelling space? Showcase that and make that something memorable. Now here's a marketing sample, again, where we used some collages. They showed images of how it was mobilely optimized, how it worked on a tablet. They gave us details, they gave us stats, and they gave us multiple images and told us the story. Here is a case of where someone used bullet point. They only had 4 photos for this very tiny home that was submitted for interior merchandising. They gave us a nice, clean, simple floor plan. They gave us 4 strong images, and they wrote bullet points on why this was important. They talked about all the information that we needed to know in order for this judges to make a qualified decision. Again, another bullet point image. Again, using, this is how the judges would view those 8 images at the very top. They see them in a thumbnail version when they're first shown, and then we blow them up to a full image so that they can see them. In this case, they chose to use little captions so that they could point out the cottage style elevation, the additional detail, and laid it out and walked us through. They also used bullet points to tell the story and the information about this plan. All right, before we move on, I'm just going to go through and touch base back on our call for entries. For instance, for the remodeling categories, you have 4 to 12 images that represent that image or that entry. Okay, that means you have 1 to 4 before images and up to 8 afters. All right. We really want to talk about that as the opportunity there to tell the story. You really want to put those images together. You want to talk about the detail. You want to talk about what the client really wanted, what the strategy was, any constraints that you may have found, and really go through that detail. All right. Going back to tips to make your entry shine. Again, follow the instructions, label those materials carefully with those entry numbers. Remember as you're speaking to the judges, who those judges are. Speak conversationally. Digestible. Here's a tip that I always like to say. We had one entrant who would have a war room. After they put their entries together, they would have everybody come in for lunch, and they'd say, hey, everybody, I want you to come in and sit down. I'm going to show you our entries, and I want everybody to look at them and review them. I'm going to read you the marketing statement and show you the materials so that we can all talk about it. They would read the entry statement, which is how it's presented to the judges. I read the marketing statement to them as they're looking at the entry materials on screen and viewing the floor plan on their device. Imagine that you're doing a mock judging. So show the images on screen, have them look at the marketing, have them look at the floor plan and read them the marketing statement. I will tell you, this is one of the most wonderful ways of finding those little hiccups in your entry. You might have forgotten some detail. They might say, hey, take that part out. It isn't necessary and we can add something else in. They may say, hey, you know what, let's replace that image. We have a better image, or pull that one down because it really isn't telling the story. Think about it. Formatting makes sense. Walk them through the plans. And again, this is where that proofreading is going to help, because when you read it out loud, you might say, hey, listen, we're stumbling over those words. We don't need that. That's too much information. All right, now I'm going to open this up to questions. I know that there are questions out there. Let's hear them, everybody. Let's see what I have on this.
Lisa, do you
Yes.
ever recommend including exterior photography when you're entering for interior product?
You know, that's a great question. Some folks will use that because what that does is it gives the judge the idea of what the product looks like and how well it connects. It gives them also, it puts them in that place so that they understand. It might also give them the dynamic of what the vernacular is. So yeah, that's definitely good. Remember, and that's a great question, but they're not from here. So they're not from your market. So you're really giving them, you're immersing them into, hey, this is what we're doing. This is a mountain aesthetic, or this is modern, or this is, farmhouse, whatever it is. It does help to tell the story. For custom homes, I will tell you the one thing that you're going to want to talk about is whether or not this is a custom home for a client, or if this is a spec home that is being built and is being sold. And the way I like to say that is, a custom home is very personal. Okay, give us a little detail about who that client is. Okay, this is a couple who is newly retired. They've moved down. They wanted less square footage, but they wanted to entertain. It was very important that they show off their art, but yet at the same time, they have grandkids. Give us all of that detail and that information. Question, can we resubmit the same project 2 years in a row? Yes, you can, with this caveat. If that community or that project or that entry had been submitted previously and had won within a category, let's say you previously entered it in brochure, it can't be resubmitted for brochure. But yes, you can absolutely resubmit it in any other category, even if it was a finalist, you can absolutely do so. You can also resubmit if you've gone for Community of the Year and it hasn't won previously. Did everybody get their questions answered about remodel categories? If you didn't, please let me know in the chat or ask it via turning your mic on. A person can be resubmitted in of the year categories, by the way. So if Lisa Parrish was submitted last year for sales professional, but she did not win, she can be resubmitted. If she won last year, she can actually be resubmitted as well because it's of the year. Same thing for community of the year. If the community can be resubmitted if it has had noticeable or big updates. Let's say you brought on a new product line, you have a new sales office, you have a new website, you added a new brochure. If a model has been refreshed, it can be resubmitted as well. It has to have substantial updates. Let's see what other things. For Community of the Year, we will be touring the Communities of the Year with the judges. So you will get a notification if you submit that we'll be out and about on October the 5th, I believe that is, and we'll be viewing. Also, we may be visiting the Home of the Year candidates depending on number of entries. All right, everybody, come on with those questions. We want to make sure we answer them all. The other thing is, as you're putting your entries together and you review the categories and you decide, hey, listen, I would really love some sample entries for anything that you're resubmitting, go ahead and send me an email. Hey, Lisa, I need an entry for a best remodel. I need a kitchen and I need a basement. What we'll do is we'll pull sample entries from another market, and we'll send those to you so you can get a track to run on. I always say that, sometimes being inspired by someone else will get, launch you forward. You might not want to imitate them, but it might inspire you to put your entry together. And again, at any time, if you're in need of us, we are here for you. We really want to help you. We want to make sure that you feel comfortable and confident. For a modeling, how far back can you submit a completed project? That's in the call for entries. Let's just go take a piece, look at that. I believe that is there. Might be on the first page. Let's go back and double check that. For that, I believe that it is on this page. So eligible entries, here we go. Eligible entries, products must be built and are marketed from September 1st to the 22nd. I believe for the remodel categories, it can go all the way back to 2019. as long as it hasn't won previously, is what I believe. I'll add that to the call for entries. Oh, sorry, repeat entries. Remember, if your work is being marketed as of September 1st, 2021, you can enter that work even as been previously entered. So you have that. Other note, please remember that you need to be within the 8 metro areas. That's Adams, Arapahoe, Boulder, Broomfield, Denver, Douglas, Elbert, and Jefferson counties. That is the scope of the HBA of Metro Denver. You also, the builder must be a member of the Denver HBA with a main office in one of those counties. But if their product is outside those counties, but in Colorado, you are eligible. So if you're in the Denver Metro and you are a member and you have an entry that is outside, you can submit. That also works for associates. If you are not a member of the Denver HBA, you will not be recognized. Your name will be stricken from the list. So you will not receive any information. You will not be acknowledged on the finalist list at the show or in the winner's book. So note that as well. Okay. Oh, here's great news. Once you submit within the Denver MAME Awards, your entries are already in-house. We have them ready to go. And if you decide that you'd like to resubmit them to the nationals, you may do so. You will get an email from me saying, hi, thank you so much for your entries. Would you like to take these to the nationals? Your materials are all done. All you have to do is pay your entry fee, and it's as easy as that. $300 and you're off on your way for additional recognition at the National Sales and Marketing Awards. These categories are all the same categories that are at MAME. So yes, not only can you win locally, you can win nationally. And last year, you actually had, we call it the Triple Crown. A number of entries from the MAME Awards went on to win at MAME, went on to win at the Nationals, and then rolled over to the Gold Nugget Awards and won 3 awards with 1 single entry submittal. So that is an opportunity and a benefit of your membership of the Denver HBA. Make it even more valuable and even more marketable to submit for MAME. Any other questions that you may have, I am here for you. We have about 5 more minutes until we'll be done for the day. Kate, do you have any questions that you can think of that I may have missed? You've been a judge previously. Macy, you've been a judge previously. Do you want to add in anything that a judge might be looking for when you're sitting there and you're viewing? Both of you have spent time on the other side of the table, as I say.
Yeah, I think judges just like it to stay simple and show them the best photos you have and explain what they're looking at in those photos. And that's going to do the best. It's nice to hear the story of how things come about, but it's so many entries and so quick that you just want to make an impact with your photos and tell them exactly what's going on and don't make them guess.
I would also add to try to avoid language like spa-like bathroom and entertainer's kitchen, because if you hear that over and over and over again, it's not telling the story of what you really designed or created. So just put a little due diligence in telling the real story of what is going on in the product.
That's a great one. We do have a drinking game. If I said farmhouse, modern farmhouse last year, we all drank. And if I say spa-like master bath, that also becomes rooftop deck is a new one. Yeah, there's definitely some target-rich terminology. Other big thing that we're all hearing now, whether or not we call it a primary suite or a rather than using the term owner suite, master suite, so forth. That's been a very interesting to hear across the country. I will tell you that there are some folks who tell a story. They make up a family who lives in the model and what their journey is. You know, anything that will shake up, break up, and wake up the judges when they're listening to me talk about these entries usually will pep everybody up and bring a smile. So think about that and have some fun with it.
Oh, and I'll add one more thing, especially for custom and remodelers. We added a bunch more categories this year and some new ones like backyard amenity, which will be really cool. And we've broken up some of those remodels into price range, which is different than last year. And if there seems to be a million entries and they all fall in different categories, there's a chance that we split them up even further. So don't be deterred by the pricing. If you have a smaller remodel and you don't want to compete with, a whole home or something like that, I encourage you to enter those because we've got some new categories for you.
Absolutely. Great point, Macy. That the judges are really looking to find ways. They will split categories. And if there are too many entries in a category, they'll look to split it. They really want to find the best way to recognition. They will also look for specialty elements and give special awards if they so see fit. Matter of fact, we just have one on a recent awards program where they're like, this is just so special and so sweet and such a unicorn. We're going to give it a special award. So never feel like your entry won't find a home. Judges are pretty savvy and they will find a way. All right. That concludes today, everybody. I hope that you enjoyed this. If for any reason you have any questions at any time, my email is on the website. I am available to you at any time. Send me an email, give us a call. We're here for you. We really, really want to make you feel successful and confident. If this is your first time submitting, hey, give me a ring. I'm happy to answer any question. I like to say the only stupid question is the one never asked. And so believe me, bring them on. Happy to share good samples. Happy to walk you through it. I've also had folks where they've sent their entry materials in early and they've asked us, hey, would you review the entry materials and let us know if you think we're missing anything? Read our statements. Send them in and we'll critique them. We'll send them back and say, hey, maybe leave this out, but add that. There's really no wrong. It's about getting noticed. So we hope this has been helpful and that you have found some good information today. Anything else, Paige, Macy, and Kate, that we should need to share?
I think that's it. Thank you, Lisa.
Yeah, I'm so happy.
If you want to be a sponsor, check out the link.
Oh, yes, sponsorships right now. Everybody, here's the deal. The MAME Awards is going to be epic. Black and white ball, right, Macy? Mm-hmm. One night, one industry. We're back. Tell us a little bit about the show. Give us a little detail about that.
It will be at the Hyatt, same as last year. We'll have a really great after party too, hosted by Unscripted and Miles Brand and Gun Sudik, up at the rooftop bar. And the black and white, I think, will be very chic and cool. We're gonna have, photo and video, maybe some fun new things like possibly dinner music, possibly photo booth, things like that. So it'll be a super, super fun night.
And who's our host this year, Macy?
It is Parrish Swanson, same MC as last year. We had awesome reviews with her. I think everyone loved her, so she will be back. And we're really excited about having her.
And if you don't know her, she is from House Beautiful, and she is an internet star of her own right. And she really loves seeing all the beautiful product and design in this market.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Well, I'm going shopping right now for my black and white outfit. All right, everybody. Well, you have a great day. And if you need anything, we're going to post this online. So if you missed anything or if you have any other questions, it'll be available for you afterwards. And if you want to share it with somebody in your office, you can absolutely do so. We hope you all have a great day, and we'll see you at MAME on November 11th at the Hyatt.
Thanks.
Bye, guys.